Chapter 49 is one of my favorite chapters of Great Expectations. Miss Havisham catches on fire. It's such an amazing climactic culmination of the fire imagery that's been building throughout this section. And though I feel terrible for Miss Havisham, it's just a shocking twist in a huge climax. So Pip arrives at Satie's house because Miss Havisham had given Jaggers a note requesting Pip to visit her, and this was an answer for whether or not she would provide funds for Herbert's future. When Pip arrives, he hears cathedral chimes, and it's this sort of sad death funeral music. Really, now that Estella's gone and Estella is going to marry Drummle, it's like everything has died for him, especially at Satie's house. When he arrives there, she agrees to pay for Herbert's future, and she just mindlessly writes a check for £900. It's a ton of money, and she wants Pip to forgive her. So that speech of undying love that Pip had given Estella, though it did not awaken Estella's heart, it did stir Miss Havisham. And she requests for Pip to sign under her name on a leaf of paper, "I forgive her." And Pip is so kind to her. On page 423, he says, "Miss Havisham, I can forgive you now." He says, "My life has had mistakes and it's been blind and thankless, but I want forgiveness and direction far too much to be bitter with you." So Miss Havisham's desire to break Pip's heart ended up re-breaking her own heart, but Pip forgives her for it. She falls to her knees and she cries, "What have I done? What have I done?" Pip confirms, "Is Estella married?" And Miss Havisham says, "Yes." And she explains what happened, and I'll show you in a movie clip.
What did you want with the child?
Just wanted a little girl to love and to rear, to save from my fate. One night he brought her here, and I called her Estella. Babe, she was so gentle. She was so beautiful. But believe me, when she first came to me, I just meant to save her from misery like my own. But as she grew more beautiful, I gradually did worse. And with my praises, my jewels, my teachings, I stole her heart away and put ice in its place. I stole her heart away and put ice in its place. You were very unhappy. You hate me very much.
Miss Havisham doesn't know that Estella came from a woman named Molly. All Miss Havisham knows is that Jaggers brought her there when she was 2 or 3, and that Miss Havisham named her Estella. Now, Pip knows who Estella's true mother is, and we know how Jaggers is now connected to Miss Havisham. Jaggers became Miss Havisham's adoption attorney and has stayed in touch ever since. And now we also have another mystery solved. When Jaggers looked at Estella that day, she was covered in jewels, and Pip became jealous. It wasn't a romantic look. It was more of a paternal look. Jaggers was the reason that Estella was able to grow up in a wealthier life than she would have been with her murderer mother. Anyway, so as Pip leaves, he thanks Miss Havisham for Herbert's future. He does say that maybe it would have been better not to raise Estella in the ways of wanting to hate men, that it would have been better to leave her a natural heart, even if it were to be bruised and broken. But he walks on out, and then he has this former hallucination of Miss Havisham hanging in the trees. And so it just unsettles him. So he turns around and he goes back up to her room. And then he looks down the corridor. She's okay. She's sitting in front of the fire. He turns and walks away. And out of his periphery, that's when the flames shoot up. And she's covered in fire. She's screaming. Imagine how flammable this dress has been after 20 years of wearing it. And Pip holds her down forcibly, but she acts like she's trying to escape. This is a mystery here. We don't know if she attempted suicide. We don't know if this was an accident. And different movie versions portray it differently. I'm going to show both, and viewer beware, it is very graphic. So if you're not happy with this scene, you don't want to see it, just fast forward in this movie.
Forgive me?
As Pip's trying to save her, he is very badly burned. His adrenaline's running. He doesn't realize how much the fire is hurting him, but he ends up with severe permanent injuries, which is appropriate because those scars represent the internal scars that Miss Havisham and Miss Stella have left on his heart, and now they're palpable on his arms and hands. But Miss Havisham is not dead, but she will never be the same, even though that one movie clip killed her off. She's in the novel. She's not dead. She is, though, a vegetable, kind of like Mrs. Joe at the end of her life, kind of like Old Bill Barley is now. And all she repeats over and over are three phrases. What have I done? When she came, I meant to save her from misery like my own. And take this pencil and write under my name, I forgive her. So Pip spends the night with Miss Havisham, and at 6 in the morning, he's getting ready to leave. Doctors have been summoned. Estella and Drummle are going to be contacted during their honeymoon in France to come. And Pip goes ahead and kisses her on the lips before he leaves, just as she says, take this pencil and write under my name, I forgive her.